Hi, Ghost Keyboard here. Today I am going to review and test the GMKtec Evo X1 gaming performances with an Oculink eGPU setup. I'm also going to quickly showcase the HX370 NPU at work, as I haven't run it in my previous Evo X1 review. But let's get back to the main topic of this video with the Oculink eGPU setup. The Evo X1 is the most powerful mini PC on the market, offering an Oculink port. Considering its hardware specifications, it would make sense to expect the Evo X1 to outperform a model like the K8 Plus with its AMD 8845HS, which is a less powerful CPU than the HX370, right? Well, things get complicated by the fact that the Ryzen AI 9 HX370 is a new chip, and that drivers haven't caught up yet with this chip full potential. And I am talking here as an NVIDIA card owner experience. 3D Mark Bench are so irrelevant with the HX370, and benchmark results seems totally broken regarding the real-world performances of the HX370. I don't know if AMD GPUs running on eGPUs have blown records with the HX370, but with my NVIDIA card and the HX370 I haven't. But hold on, don't leave the video yet, because a good news happened on the 13th of February, but we're gonna get into the details later in the video. Before moving forward in the video, let's do a short recap of the Evo X1 specifications for the viewers who are not familiar with this GMKtec powerhouse mini PC model. This small body case is holding the powerful AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370 CPU with 12 cores and 24 threads. The iGPU is the not least impressive AMD 890M, which is simply the most powerful iGPU available on the market at the moment. RAM specification is as impressive with 32 GB of LPDDR5X RAM. And now the NPU, which is also the most powerful AI NPU available in the market at the moment with up to 50 TOPS. So what is that AI NPU made for? Well, here we have a free app called Amuse, and this app is actually using the NPU to execute AI computations. This app is an AI image generator which generate images based on prompt just like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. It's actually a great app. It can also generate AI videos based on the video model you will feed the app with and defined prompt. The NPU also work with Windows Effect app, and it will allow you to remove or add background and objects while you are using webcam apps. It will replace the physical green screen that streamers are working with. I have already talked about the NPU in my previous video review of the Evo X1, so for those who are looking for more details, you can watch my previous published videos. But let's get back to the main topic of this video with the Oculink eGPU setup. I had a hard time producing this video, as from the get-go, I knew that drivers were the cause of the disappointing eGPU performances. Hear me out. There is nothing surprising in the fact that drivers update are improving GPU performances. The issue was that the K8 Plus was outperforming the Evo X1 with the same drivers. I couldn't guess if the culprit was the CPU drivers or the GPU drivers. I knew that the Ryzen HX370 was built on the new Zen 5 architecture and that GPU drivers may have not probably catching up yet with the HX370 full potential. 3D Mark benchmarks were showing almost a 20% gap performances between the HX370 and the 8845HS. To confirm my doubts and exclude the possibility of user error, I had to dig into lots of 3D marks and compare the few HX370 results with lower CPU specs results, like the 7840HS or the 8845HS. Search results are showing that the Ryzen AI HX370 is showing significant performance drop compared to the 7840HS with high-end GPU cards in this synthetic benchmark. However, it seems that mid-range and especially AMD card are less affected by performance drop in this CPU eGPU comparison. I usually never enable resize bar support in the BIOS, as in my experience it had no effect on GPU running on eGPU dock. But I did try this time and also enabled extended tag in the PCIe Express BIOS setting, and it did deliver a bit of performance boost. But the downside is a big increase of the CPU temperature and a higher wattage. So I rather trade those 2% FPS boost for almost a 20 cooler temps and 25% less wattage. I definitely not recommend using resize bar support for this setup. If you like the small details of this video, maybe it is time to give this video a like, or subscribe to the channel or leave a comment. It is my pleasure to read and react to your comments, thanks you. Now I want to talk about a tweak that I use to mention a lot in my reviews to lower your CPU temperature. Without giving away performances, I am talking about Windows Processor Performance Boost Mode hidden option. Usually, I advise to disable default aggressive setting of this option, as you can see in this Forza Horizon 5 gameplay with the 8845HS CPU. I am setting CPU core to base clock by disabling CPU boost in Windows Power option. The regular viewers of the channel knows about the efficiency of this tweak on both overall system temperatures and noise reduction. But here we have a totally different CPU with the Ryzen 9 HX370. Its base clock is at a very low 2 GHz. And by disabling CPU core boost, you will lock your CPU clock at its base clock, which is 2 GHz. And performance loss will be very significant, as you can see in this Forza Horizon 5 gameplay demonstration. Now let's move back to NVIDIA drivers. I was waiting for NVIDIA to release a driver that will unleash the true potential of my eGPU setup running with the GMKtec Evo X1. There were no reason regarding the high-end specification of this mini PC to be outperformed by the GMKtec K8 Plus in game test. So on the 13th of February, NVIDIA released a new GPU driver. And hallelujah, it delivered at least in real-world game benchmark, as 3D Mark was still not correctly grading my score regarding the performances of the Evo X1 in real-world gameplay, and compared to the K8 Plus that is doing very well in 3D Mark benchmarks. Here now, the Evo X1 is outperforming the K8 Plus by a small margin. Performance gap is barely due to GPU percentage usage. This review is a bit complicated, as driver is a third factor of comparison in this video review. My intention is to address the questioning of viewers who are wondering if the HX370 is outperforming the 8845HS in an eGPU configuration. Well, there is not a clear answer here. As you will see in some game, the Evo X1 is outperforming an 8845HS Oculink eGPU setup. But in two particular games, the Evo X1 is outperformed by the K8 Plus, and in some other games, both setup are shoulder to shoulder. Here's what I'm thinking. First, low-end and mid-range cards seem to not be affected, and especially the AMD card. Secondly, I think with the specification of the HX70, there are room for improvement with eGPU optimization. And last, I will call out NVIDIA and ask them to stop screwing things. And finally, what are you waiting to push that like button and subscribe to the channel? Just kidding, don't dislike me, please. Here with Stalker 2 at epic setting with DLSS set to quality and frame generation turned on, we can see how NVIDIA 13th of February driver update impact boosts the performances of the Evo X1. The K8 Plus and the Evo X1 have very close FPS, but we can notice that the K8 Plus has a lower GPU usage and lower power draw. Here again, I have set in a side-by-side screen both the Evo X1 and the K8 Plus in a Spider-Man 2 battle. Settings are boosted to maximum with ray tracing turned on and DLSS set to quality and ray tracing set at the maximum.
Hey, MJ!
Hey, guys.
Pause. Here we just have a big FPS pump on the Evo X1. Let's take a moment to look at some data. We can read that the Evo X1 and the K8 Plus have an identical FPS average at 92. No matter this small FPS pump and dump, as FPS will drop back to normal as soon as I will resume the video. The Evo X1 has a higher power draw and GPU usage, as these two elements are correlated. CPU-wise, the 8845HS is running cooler at 52 degrees Celsius, and with only 20-watt power draw, the HX370 has also a low power draw at 35 watt, even though it is much higher than the 8845HS 20 watt. Okay, let's resume the video now.
After all these years, Marco, you should try yoga. Must be more of a Pilates guy. That was your idea? Never said it was a good one. It was supposed to be a normal day. He fit.
Now at high setting native with Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, once again both systems have almost the exact same FPS average. This review got me some headache. I was looking for some stability in the results, some kind of data curve that would be steady. But in the next following test, you will see that the K8 Plus with its 8845 HS will outperform in this eGPU test the Evo X1 with a significant margin.
Anyone help! Help!
Now God of War Ragnarok at epic settings set at native. Although both systems are showing high FPS, the K8 Plus is showing a much higher FPS than the Evo X1. At the end of this run, we will be at a 20% FPS difference, and this number is much higher than what we have seen in previous tests where generally both systems were shoulder to shoulder. The NVIDIA latest driver have fixed the performance gap difference I had in previous game when compared to the K8 Plus performances. But with God of War Ragnarok and Black Myth Wukong, although there was an improvement on Wukong, the gap is still not closed. We start the Black Myth Wukong test at very high setting and ray tracing with super resolution set at 50, and as you can see, the performance gap is huge. I did remade the test countless times, as at first I was thinking about bad setting. I did tried Wukong under the 3 latest NVIDIA drivers, and even with the very latest one that was released on the 20th of February during the editing of this video, this latest update is irrelevant as I haven't witnessed any performance boost compared to the 13th of February release. I do have also tries to run the game under the 3 previous AMD drivers just in case. So it is what it is. We have here an 83% performance gap at very high native setting and 45% gap at cinematic setting. And yes, NVIDIA, you screw it on this one. I am pretty sure that the issue will be fixed in a near future. Now Forza Horizon 5 at extreme setting with DLSS set at ultra performances and frame generation turned on. Now still at extreme graphics setting, but with all upscaling tricks and frame generation turned off. Here again, the 8845 HS eGPU setup is taking the lead, even though the HX370 setup is pulling more power and have a slightly higher GPU usage. I can't wait to run the same eGPU test with an AMD GPU. I should review the GMKtec ADGP1 in my next video review. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss another side-by-side comparison. Now Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 at ultra setting set at native. Now Indiana Jones and the Great Circle set at supreme setting with DLSS set at balance. Here it's good to see that both setups are showing approximately the same FPS average. We are only at a 2% gap difference here. I do really think that the Evo X1 will outperform the K8 plus eGPU setup with high-ends card in every game titles in a near future. It's a matter of time. We are finishing this video review with a classic Cyberpunk game test at ultra setting with DLSS and ray tracing enabled, and then I will test it at ultra setting set at native with ray tracing enabled. I hope you have enjoyed the review. Thanks you for watching.